Sa kabila ng pandemya, patuloy na lumalago ang mga startup ventures sa bansa. Many entrepreneurs want a stake in the e-commerce boom, desiring to attain global success. Ngunit paano makakapasok ang mga MSME sa world market? Anong mga plano ang dapat natin gawin bago pumasok sa global stage? In this episode, we'll answer those questions as we discuss how Philippine startups can tap into the world market with our guest, award-winning host and co-founder of EnterPH, RJ Ledesma. All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Dito sa Real Quezon, totoong-totoo at real na real ang magagandang destinasyon at iba't ibang activities na pwedeng subukan gaya ng river rafting at surfing. Sabay-sabay din tayong ma-fall in love sa magagandang waterfalls for real na matatagpuan dito sa Real Quezon. Kaya tara, ating pasyalan!
Welcome back to Open for Business. Today we have the award-winning host and co-founder of EnterPH, RJ Ledesma. Kumusta, RJ?
Okay naman. It's been a long time since nakita-kita tayo face-to-face. So, Boss Cesar, it's good to see you again. Really good to see you and of course, yung Eagle Broadcasting Studio.
Yes, thank you so much for coming over. Ngayon lumuluwag na ang negosyo sa Pilipinas and we are now into alert levels that are more comfortable and that are better for business. Sa palagay mo, ano bang mangyayari dito? How will it affect again the startups?
I think yung importansya para sa atin dito, no? I mean, para tuloy-tuloy pa yung takbo ng negosyo is to remain continuously vigilant. We were able to protect ourselves against the onslaught ng Delta variant dahil una-una, nagpabakuna lahat, di ba? That's the most important thing. We get vaccinated. We continue to wear our face masks. We continue to maintain social distancing. We try to avoid crowded areas. We stay in alfresco areas. I think that's really key right now. It has to be really a way of life, because if you look at the other countries where naging widespread infection yung particularly in Delta variant is number one is that there was vaccine hesitancy, and number two, at the same time, hindi na sila nagmamask talaga sa ibang mga lugar, di ba? But at least here in the Philippines, I'm kind of happy to note that, even at alert level 2, we are still encouraged to wear your masks, di ba? Get vaccinated. And we even have a national vaccination drive, di ba? So, I think these are very positive. So, I recommend cautious vigilance for us. Let's not let our guard down right now. But if you want business to continue, let's remain vigilant.
You are one of the champions of MSME development here in the Philippines because, you've you've entered and you established a lot of startups as well, and
Opo,
you're
opo.
engaged with a lot of projects. Not only, your own project, but, talking about the pandemic, ano ba yung nakita mong major challenge noon sa panahon ng pandemya na kailangan naging preparado ang mga small businesses?
I think, it's a given na before. If you saw, there was actually a joke going around the pandemic. They were saying, what was the cause of your company's digital transformation? Who was the key change leader? Ito pa ba yung CEO, yung CIO, Chief Information Officer, or COVID? So yung COVID talaga yung nag-accelerate sa atin.
Tama.
We were on the way towards acceleration of the business. But what would have taken maybe even 5 to 10 years, we were able to bring it shorter, the process. So more businesses were able to digitally accelerate during that time, meaning they've adopted not just e-commerce, but everything part and parcel of doing business. E-commerce, how to operate your business, logistics, everything started coming online, even in payment systems. So I think what is really key is for businesses to pivot online. And that was the only choice really of the small businesses. But imagine now, you can pay online. Imagine here, you can pay now online for your business. You can promote online. You can get delivery online. I mean, these are very key for businesses. And I think what people have to realize, I often teach people about what we call the entrepreneurial mindset, diba? Is that our job is to look at the world with the eyes of opportunity. Kasi sinasabi ko lang, if you are not an entrepreneur, kunyari, you came into this crisis at wala kang entrepreneurial lens, diba? Siyempre nakakatakot lahat, diba? May walang social distancing, may lockdown, may supply chain crisis. But when you wear your glasses, your entrepreneurial lens, you start seeing things in terms of opportunity. Ano yung oportunidad na lumalabas dahil sa social distancing? Ano oportunidad na lumalabas dahil sa lockdown, di ba? You start seeing opportunities kasi yung trabaho ng isang entrepreneur is not to say whether a situation is good or bad. The job of the entrepreneur is to discover opportunities in good times and especially in bad times, di ba? Sinasabi nga nila, di ba, the job of the entrepreneur is to solve pain points, turn irritations into opportunities. Ito yung panahonan mismo para sa isang entrepreneur to see the whole situation as an opportunity to create new solutions for new problems caused by this pandemic. So may term, di ba, sa Chinese, Wei Ji. Di ba? What does Wei Ji mean, di ba? It means this crisis, but the second character there means opportunity. In crisis, there's great opportunity. Ang dami kong nakita mga startup na lumago because they were able to pivot and change their business model to address the idea that you cannot see people in person, the idea that you cannot interact with people in person. I think that's what's really key really right now for many of the small businesses, that they first of all, it's really for the mindset, saying na, okay, it's time for us to change the way that we think and see how do we change our business model na sang-ayon na siya sa bagong kapanahunan of this life, of this new normal life.
You mentioned about this digital transformation. My question is, what aspect of digital transformation should be the focus of small businesses?
Okay, usually they see it's 3 platforms, diba? Number 1, it's the payment platform.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the payments processing. It's the platform mismo, where can they find you? What's your marketplace? And number 3 is your logistics play. Usually, if you have those 3 different components in play as a small player, you can come out and sell much better. Because like for MSMEs right now, where can they go? People are starting to create their own sort of marketplaces where they can deliver. For example, I'll give example of my business, Mercato Central. Recently, we partnered up with Dave Almirol of Multisys Corporation.
Correct.
Because anong opportunity nakita namin sa panahon ng pandemya sa ating mga small, sa mga entrepreneurs natin? Yung mga online entrepreneurs, di ba, karamihan dyan, lumabas nung time na ito, di ba, gumagawa ng pagkain, di ba? But out of their own small houses, di ba? So sometimes they're very good entrepreneurs. They were really popular during the height of the pandemic, but right now, they're losing business na. So number 1, they need one platform where you can make them ipon. Iponin mo sila lahat sa isang platform so you can find them. So we created a platform, a Mercato app, where you can put all the small food vendors, they can sell from their own home, but parang virtual store na yun, no? All the small food vendors are there. And then the next one is, di ba, payments platform, di ba? Anong biggest irritant na pag ikaw ay kukuha ng order, kailangan, padali mo can you please send me a screenshot of your payment or deposit slip, di ba? So that's a pain point. So what we did is we created a payments platform na nandyan na lahat sa loob. So you don't have to tell the person, send me your payments, just pay online. You make it easier for them. And the last one is logistics platform, di ba? How do you deliver? Kung noon ikaw small food vendor, ikaw pa hahanap ng magde-deliver ng goods mo, di ba? Here in the platform which we created for Mercato, it's the Mercato app, it has an algorithm that can choose from the nearest delivery partner in the area, whether it's Grab Express, whether it's Borzo, whether it's Lalamove. You can choose which one, or Ding Dong. It can choose already for you. So that's what's key right now for small food businesses, to participate in platforms like that, which are perfect for the type of products which they have, to be able to market really aggressively online. Because there are so many platforms available. The second thing that's also very key for small businesses, especially if it's retail or anything else, is that it's really storytelling online. It goes back to basic marketing. How do you make sure that your product stands out online? I often tell people, di ba, when you create a product, you tell people, what problem are you trying to solve? Di ba? That's the first thing. That's always the first thing you tell entrepreneurs. Kasi kung pare-pareho yung produkto mo, di ba, kunyari milk tea yan, di ba? I've seen so many milk teas come out during this time. Ube, cheese, pandesal. Who wants to get your product? We tell them, okay, what makes your product unique and innovative that nobody else can do that product? And that's what's key, di ba? Because kung pare-pareho lang kayo lahat, then the other person will just beat you because he's got lower price or better quality than you. So you have to say what makes your product stand out. That's why what makes it unique and innovative. And we call that your secret sauce. Di ba sa KFC, parang may secret sauce sila. Yung gravy na literally. What's the secret sauce of your business that makes it stand out? You have to be able to communicate that online. So that when people, kung tatangkilikan ka ng ibang tao, they have to know specifically what is your product, di ba? What are you trying to sell? And dapat maganda yung kwento mo ngayon, di ba? Ngayon, pwede ka magkwento sa lahat. Pwede ka magkwento sa Facebook, sa YouTube, sa Instagram, sa TikTok, sa Kumu.
So parang meron ka ring story arc.
Yeah, you have story arc. And last but I've noticed really important here right now, especially para sa ating mga zillennial at millennial, is the fact that what makes your product or service meaningful and relevant that I buy from you, that in a small little way, pag ako ay mamimili sa iyo, I am helping change the world in a small way. So kunyari, I tell people, kung ako bibili ng coffee beans, di ba? Mahilig tayo sa coffee, di ba? And there's two coffee beans, Arabica beans and Arabica beans B. But this particular Arabica beans is harvested by the farmers in the Cordilleras, and every time you buy from this one, you're helping build a school for the Lumads. And syempre, you want to go to somewhere where there's a cause. So these are just basic marketing principles that you have to have online. When you combine it also with e-commerce, di ba? So you have to have the three platforms again. You have to have the platform, marketplace online, payment, and then finally delivery. And then you have to have a good storytelling online where you identified what makes your product different, what's your secret sauce, and what makes it meaningful for the consumer to buy from you and not from somebody else.
Now, RJ, ikaw yung nagpauso din ng Mercato. You find these huge places, and every weekend, people go there. And I think one of those affected, by the pandemic, by COVID-19, was that,
Yes.
where people really would want to gather, they bring their family. So, ano yung napansin mo na pag-change ng consumer behavior din sa pandemic? What is your sense in terms of consumer behavior? Sila ba babalik ba sa dati? Or tingin mo there's going to be a hybrid?
I think it's going to be a hybrid because, habits are formed in 90 days, di ba? We were in the crisis for almost 2 years, right? So for example, let me put my business as an example.
Okay.
We closed down Mercato Central because it was an alfresco business. So we tried to create a business that first attempt namin online was to create a parang online marketplace for Mercato where you could order from us. Diba? You could order from us separately. And people were excited because lahat ng vendor nandyan eh. But the thing is, when they would order from us, kina-cancel yung order namin. And we were wondering why. It's because we found that kasi lahat ng vendor namin, although we represent them online, they're all based out of their own home kitchens. So pag mag-order ka dito sa isa, kasi yung experience sa atin, di ba? I will buy bagnet from here, and then sisig from here, and then maybe isa from the other one. In the marketplace, physical, you can order from 3, walang problema kasi one place lang yan. But if you order online from 3 different places, 3 different delivery charges yan.
Yes.
So nung una, sabi namin, naku, pain point yan. But what did we say? What if we were able to congregate all of our vendors into one physical venue so people can have more food choices from more food vendors at one delivery charge? So we created a brick and mortar, a physical Mercato kitchen. So right now, in the Ayala Mall circuit, meron kami Mercato United Kitchen, which is actually 200 plus food choices, 15 vendors, 1 delivery charge.
Pero no dining din yun. Basta delivery lang.
Pero it's hybrid eh. So may
okay.
alfresco dining at may delivery delivery rin siya. So it touches a need, di ba? So that's what I'm talking about when you talk about how you adjust to what's happening to the reality. Second one is, from 0 markets, nung height of the pandemic, we have 10 markets now na alfresco. Because right now, one of the biggest habits of people is to eat outdoors, di ba? Hindi na sila pwede kumain sa loob. And right now, ito nakita namin advantage ng pandemya. Di ba ang dami mga online entrepreneurs na lumabas, nagsilabasan? They're now looking for venues to sell. Kasi online, if you just sell by yourself online, let's say product, you won't get a customer on a regular basis kasi they won't keep on coming back to you. But because now we put back the alfresco venues, ang dami mga former online vendors na naging mga live vendors namin sa market. So that's what we're seeing here right now. That it's going to be a combination of what we gained from the crisis combined with what we're used to. It's going to be a hybrid. Na we have where the key is still safe and healthy is still key, but they still want that variety. They still want that experience that we can deliver to them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was talking with Miss Moy of SMC yesterday. Sabi niya, Caesar, ano ngayon, di ba? Parang may EQ, IQ, tsaka yung may AQ.
Adversity quotient.
So ano naman yon? So parang can you explain that and how, it should be learned also by entrepreneurs?
I guess the adversity quotient really means for people is that in times of crisis, how do you perceive crisis for happening to you? One of the best things I actually got is this one. I was talking to I was speaking for an insurance company before. I was a moderator for their event, and I got to meet yung diamond sales, diba? Yung pinaka-top sales, diba? Yung $1 million round table sales people. I said, nung kinausap ko siya, sabi ko sa kanya, wow, you must be parang baka magic lumalabas sa bibig mo kasi nakukonvince mo lahat eh. And he tells me, RJ, even at being $1 million round table salesperson, there's some people who say no to me, di ba? But it's how I perceive when they say no to me as the answer. Some people when they say no to you, parang ay destroyed na ako, hindi ko na kaya yan, di ba? I'm a failure. But for me, I say, hindi ako yung talo, siya yung talo. I'm the one offering to him really something good for his life, and he doesn't want to accept it. It's not my problem, but I will learn from this situation so I can come up with a better way to say things again when I hit my next client. That's sort of like what adversity quotient is all about. The flip side is what you call that growth mentality. The bad times won't last forever, but the thing is, okay, this happened to you. Maraming nadapa ako. We came to a point where sa passbook namin almost 0 out na kami. But what did you learn from the situation that makes you grow as an entrepreneur and grow as a person? And I think that's key. That's what adversity quotient is about. When you come out of this, what have you learned and how can you reapply it in your business? Ang dami kong natutunan sa negosyong ito. That's why sabi mo sa akin, but why did you lose weight? Kasi ako araw-araw stressed ako, sir. So hindi naman ako talagang ensayo para lumabas na lahat ng stress ko lang sa katawan ko noong time na yan. And during this time, I was able to launch a couple of new businesses. Sabi ko nga, di ba, we put up a cloud kitchen. We put up the app. I have now the RJ Ledesma podcast pa ako ngayon. And I signed up a partnership with a company in the UAE to help bring Filipino startup businesses and businesses to
Let's
the UAE.
talk about that later. Pero interested ako doon sa losses and gains. So siyempre, ikaw being one of the champions of MSMEs here in the Philippines, dapat ba ang mga entrepreneurs they also look at the other categories, essential, non-essentials?
I think the more important thing is to do 2 things, no? Is to go with your why. What are you in business for? So you understand that there's a bigger purpose because when push comes to shove, di ba? Parang feeling ko yung bigger purpose not to help other people really helped us also as well because other people also want to help you if you're helping other people, di ba? At yung pangalawa, you want to see what really is your main skill set about. So for example, I realized like for some people, it's like saying now, if they were in the tourism industry, right? Of course, it's heavily hit. So travel agencies are wondering right now, what can we do? There's no travel tours right now. Then you go to, what is your real skill set that you really have over there? Isn't it an organizational skill set? Parang, di ba? Can you reuse that organizational skill set in something else which you can do? Because I've seen many of these companies, they pivot and let's say, for example, I work with another company called Filipino Homes, which is the largest real estate sales company here in the country. and they sell to OFWs, is that they pivoted. So many people who had that organizational skill set, let's say from tourism for other industries, were able to reuse it over here. And right now, tama-tama timing. There's a housing backlog. Many OFWs now are not buying any more non-essential or luxury goods. They want to invest in their first homes sa probinsya nila. So they're actually putting more money into yung mga affordable housing in the Philippines. And if na-timing mo lang, so you left your other industry, but you're discovering, oh, there's another industry where my skill set can actually be used over here. And that's what's happened to some of them. So parang it's just a matter of saying, what's your why? And then, what is the skill set that you can reapply? In Germany, they were saying that there was a live events company that pivoted to becoming a furniture company to develop yung mga work-from-home furniture because live events, they couldn't do live events. So they were saying, ano skill set talaga namin? Yung paggawa ng sets, so carpentry, di ba? So they changed it to make it furniture.
Wow, interesting. Now, you said you are also helping this company, go into the world market. As a matter of fact, you said there's one in Dubai. Ngayon, isa rin naman yan sa mga pinag-uusapan na how can Philippine startups go into the world market? Lalo na ngayon, limited pa rin yung pag-travel. What specific opportunities should OFWs or Filipinos in the different parts of the world look into so that they can still go into startup?
So we're clear lang, no? The difference between putting up a business and putting up a startup business. If I put up a startup business, a business, let's say, pawn shop. It's a physical store that you put up, right? Where your clients are basically the people na malapit sa iyo. Yung kakompetensya mo, yung malapit rin sa inyo na pawn shop. If it was a startup business, I go, what if it was a digital pawn shop? What if I pivoted the idea of a pawn shop, di ba? Where instead of make it physical, it's an online pawn shop and my clients all of a sudden are not just the clients who are near me. I can make it anybody virtually who is near me. I can turn into clients. What if I had the technology just to take a picture of the item that I want to pawn? And then pag tinanggap ng pawn shop, they will send me an ATM card. And then, I can do that. That's Pawn Hero. That is a fintech startup. Startups leverage the use of technology to be able to solve problems. So, yan the first thing, di ba? So, if that's the case, how do we bring Filipino startups to the world? The nice thing about, people don't realize that in any business, like I said at the very start, startups are about solving problems. When an investor goes to a startup, they ask you, what problem are you trying to solve? At alam niyo po, ang daming problema dito sa Pilipinas. We can see it as problems, but there's so many foreigners looking at the Philippines with a startup mentality going, ang daming problema sa Pilipinas, gusto kong puntahan ng Pilipinas para isolve yung mga problemang yan. And that's the job of all these fintech startups, all these property startups, all these agricultural tech startups. They're using technology to solve these development problems, di ba? And there have been many companies which actually come to the Philippines first to experiment their startup, to learn about these problems, because if we're able to solve this problem over here, other countries similar to the Philippines, developing countries with similar lifestyle, middle-class population, similar problems, they also have that in other countries. So usually, if you're able to solve a problem over here, that problem can be transported to other countries as well. So if you're a startup, if you're developing a startup here in the Philippines, think first local, think of solving a big problem over here, and think of how this problem can also translate to other countries as well. There's a startup called Ayana by Miko Perez, which basically does that one. It helps solve the idea of the biggest problem pala is not sending money from abroad to the Philippines.
But
so the bigger problem is sending money from urban to rural. Diba? And that's the problem he was trying to solve. It's not a problem just in the Philippines. It's in India. It's in different other parts of the world. So he was able to build that startup over there. Another one called Acudin. Acudin, di ba? It's a way of, people mahaba yung receivables payment sa mga malalaking kumpanya, mga 90 to 120-day payment. So they said that, imbis na maghintay kayo, patay ka na sa negosyo kasi wala ka ng pera, we will find a group of people who will be able to buy your receivables at a discount para umikan yung pera mo ulit. That was set up by Acudin, nagamit rin sa iba't ibang bansa dito sa Southeast Asia. So, if you're able to come up with a startup that solves a problem here, but it can also solve a problem abroad, that's how you're able to make that startup go abroad. And that really ties up to me talking about something like my tie-up with Creative Zone. Now, I work with a company called Enter PH. I co-founded that with attorney Rocky Chan. It is a consultancy firm that helps foreign businesses outsource to the Philippines. Bakit? Kasi di ba one of the biggest pain points of, companies want to invest in the Philippines, di ba? But there's so much bureaucracy, there's so much that they have to know. Especially yung mga MSME abroad na gusto mag-invest dito kasi hindi lahat malalaking BPO eh. Hindi lahat yung mga, some are also small businesses, mga 5 people lang, 10 people, even 1 person lang. They want to come to the Philippines, they don't know how. We help them set up, not just legally, but get some HR, get some accounting to start up their legal presence here in the Philippines. So we were also approached saying, RJ, maybe you also, because you're involved in this business ecosystem, yung startup scene, you can also go to UAE, United Arab Emirates. Why is UAE actively encouraging that through yung company na Creative Zone? Kasi sa UAE, there's about 750,000 Pinoys sa UAE. We're the 3rd largest expatriate population there in the UAE. And mataas yung tingin ng mga tao sa mataas yung mga taga-Dubai when they look at Filipinos because, it's a meritocracy.
Professionals.
Very professional. When you go there, as long as you do your work, I had a good talk with them. As long as you do your work, you show up, you do your work, you do it well. They don't care what your nationality is. They care about the quality of the work that you do. So they reached out to me and said, RJ, can you help us bring more Filipino companies there, whether they be service providers, whether they are startups, because Creative Zone can help them match them with investors kung kinakailangan.
But which industries are they looking at?
Across. Can be service industry, you can be importing things to Dubai, you can set up business consultancy firms in Dubai. Some people there have become very good, from people who are doing photographers, people who want to start up businesses. So many of them in Dubai are which is great, no? You can bring them there. But on top of that one, what's nice about Dubai is that there's no corporate tax, there's no income tax. Ease of doing business is quick. You can, in a matter of minutes, you can put up the company, which we're not quite used to over in the Philippines kasi dito medyo may pangpatagalan, diba? Pangpatagalan. But they're very fast to put up that business and you can own 100% of it even if you're Filipino.
But what is the platform? Is it also more of technopreneurship? Will it use fintech as well?
You can do, that's a nice thing. I know people in Dubai who put up photography studios and service, event studios all the way to fintech. Fintech companies there as well, all the way to the startups. And the nice thing is that you can bring your whole family there if you want to. You can fix up the visas to bring the families there to live and work in Dubai. And the rates are not so bad. They can range from $1,600 to about $6,000 to bring the whole family there to Dubai. And it's a great expatriate atmosphere. Plus, ang daming Pinoy rin lang nakakatulong sa'yo dyan when you go to Dubai. It's the center of, center of Africa, Middle East, Asia. If you want to accelerate or grow your business, that's a great place to take it. And that's why they're looking at the Philippines, because they've seen the great contribution of Filipinos there. So they reached out to us, Creative Zone, to see, can we help bring more Filipino companies there that want to expand outside of the Philippine shore. So kung okay ka na dito, you want to expand, go there. Or you're having a bit of a challenge here, looking for investors or looking to grow the business, why don't you try it out there in Dubai?
But the challenge remains to be, what's happening with COVID-19. Do you think this will, what's the growth potential? Kasi ang nangyari, nakakatakot din. Andun pa rin yung fear ng mga tao.
If you at least look at Dubai, it's a very well-controlled, almost everybody there has shots, plus booster pa. So it's a very, the population is very well vaccinated.
And they can afford.
Yeah, they can, but it's very well vaccinated over there. But at the same time, remember, it's a new economy, new world. So even if you're there, diba, startups leverage technology, leverage the ability that you don't have to also physically meet all the time. And it changes things, diba? There's innovations that didn't exist before, that exist now, because of technology and because startups enable that. GCash has changed the way that we do business. PayMy has changed the way that we do business. So the same thing also as well. I mean, with COVID over here, it's going to change the way that we do things, but it might push things in another way that might make it better pa nga, diba? How we do business. So yes, it's worrisome, right? But again, we have to wear our entrepreneurial lens and say, okay, COVID's here, but then what are the opportunities that are emerging right now that we can think of? And that's what the Filipino entrepreneur, tech startup or business person should watch out for. How we can see the new opportunities emerging, even with an Omicron variant that we do now.
One of the learnings of some CEOs and small business owners, during the pandemic is that you have to look at the needs of your community noon. Kasi parang dati, you were just, you are looking at again, of course, maybe the global market, the different countries. But when the pandemic came, parang sinasabi nila, ano ba yung needs nung nasa kapitbahay ko?
Oo.
And that's what they serve. So, how is this concept of looking at the needs of your community applied to the global market?
Everybody exists in their own mini community. So again, it's the idea of trying to solve that issue of how are you helping things with that? How can your idea travel that it works in their own communities? Like for example, the way that I perceive Mercato as a business, I think it has the potential to travel because technically I am helping a community earn, di ba? By providing this venue, and I just provide different ways to do it, whether Alfresco Market, Mercato app, Cloud Kitchen, so it can travel. And there's a purpose, di ba? What's the meaningful and relevant? Di ba I talked about meaningfulness and relevance? Every time you buy from you are supporting a small food business and helping the family grow. So the same way that if you're doing other businesses that exist in other areas, Ayana, it's a fintech app that helps communities advocate for growth because of remittance. It improves remittance over there, or other fintech. So that's what you do, diba? Your business, if it helps the community in your place, ideally you can make it grow because it helps the community in the other places where you can apply the technology.
Ang laking factor ng sinasabi mo nga, technology and infrastructure doon sa nangyayari ngayon. There are people who say that, the pandemic will go for 2 more years. Yung iba naman hindi. Mga next year na lang, okay na yan. O total, may booster na. What's your outlook?
No, okay. Let me talk about this from rather like if I was to apply my startup or entrepreneur mentality over here. We're always going to have the problem of, let's say, we don't think we're going, the technology, the Wi-Fi isn't fast enough. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. That's a given, right? The entrepreneurial hat says, okay, this is what's happening. It's a pain point. What can we do to hack the process? What can we do to improve this one, to do this one? And that's our job. That's our job as entrepreneurs. If it doesn't work out this way, what's our plan B, plan C, plan D? When it comes to technology infrastructure, when it comes to this one, we just have to be ready for all those different circumstances. We can't prepare for all of it. Diba? They often say when you do business, diba? This is what they call in the startup world, yung A/B testing. Yung parang you try to do two models at once and see which one works better, diba? So if this is the way that you want to go, it doesn't work, okay lang. Go to B ka agad. Don't dwell on the mistake. The mistake was part of your problem-solving process. So I mean that's really it. I think there's going to be a point where people are going to say, okay, it doesn't work over here. Let's develop something that doesn't have to jump through all these hurdles to operate. I think that's what's going to happen.
Now, as we are trying to embrace digitalization, we have a growing number of Filipinos who are now banking online or doing their transactions online. But with the recent happenings, do you think this would result to something negative also in terms of us or Filipinos, the masa, embracing digital banking or digitalization?
The first thing that I want to point out is that it's not a Philippine problem to get these sophisticated frauds or hacks. It's not a Philippine problem. In fact, there's a recent article in CNN I just saw that there's been a software issue that might affect worldwide how security issues, diba? So the first idea is that, okay, this is going to happen, unfortunately. And that's why we have to rely on our regulators and our banks to be vigilant about protecting these type of things. But then let's weigh the pros versus the cons, right? We have more than 90% unbanked population here in the Philippines. And there's such a big opportunity to assist them with so much financial inclusion. And that's what fintech does. It hacks the process where it allows for them to participate in the system, diba? If there are countries like I think like Nigeria where it's almost a cashless society there because they leapfrog technology, diba, over there to be able to get these things done. We should be able to do the same thing here as well. There are different ways to do banking, diba? So that was a sophisticated banking fraud, but yes, that's a problem. But if you look at the other side, there's still so many people who we can put from unbanked to bank that can really help grow the country. So our job is to keep on bringing them into the system, and then trust that our regulators and the bigger companies are doing the best job that they can to be able to protect against the type of fraud.
You know, during the pandemic, in terms of consumer behavior, where like, kanyari, nakausap yung isang CEO dito, parang sabi niya, kung kailan naman nagka-pandemya, tsaka tumaas yung sales ng second-hand na, yung pre-love na luxury cars.
Oo.
Were there some new discoveries on how people or consumers buy?
Yeah, well, that's one of the dynamics that we saw. People were now investing in, kasi they had so much. I guess it depends on where you belong in the social spectrum, right? Because many of them they were unable to spend. But I saw because many of them who used to travel a lot before were unable to spend, and their income was not lost, no. So they were putting their money into these luxury goods, diba? And then we saw them on the other habit of OFWs who could not, they could not travel also as well, or they could not spend. They were investing now, but they were not investing in non-essential. They were not investing anymore in luxury, but they were investing in first homes naman here in the Philippines because it became very important to them as well. So, yes, consumer behavior changed, but there came a time, and then it's interesting because there was a time in the midst of the height of the pandemic. Week on week, we could not predict consumer behavior. We couldn't tell. Going particularly for dining, diba? For us, it became also a big issue. We didn't know how dining would go, how food would go. So, yeah, I mean, it's still up to now. It's still a bit unpredictable. But always what we see is that if you're able to look at what are the opportunities that are emerging, that you can address them, that works, diba? You have to address issues about work from home. You have to address issues of sanitation and these different things. Like, I have another business called Easy Franchise, where we help franchising businesses grow. What grew fastest for us was the laundry format, the laundromat format, the LPG format. Bakit? Because laundry format, because right now, since everybody's working from home, people are too busy now to make laba. Kaya, yung laundry works. Or more people are at home. So, they're cooking more at home than before. So, that therefore, mas mataas na yung sales ng LPG. So, I mean, these are the type of things you just anticipate na, okay, problematic nga. But then you start seeing, okay, what are the trends you're seeing emerging and how can you address them?
So, Dubai is something exciting. Can you tell more about the Creative Zone?
Anyway, we're tying with a company called Creative Zone UAE, and they're really actively encouraging a lot of Filipino startups and also regular Filipino businesses to come over there and take advantage of actually working out of Dubai. Why Dubai again? No? If you don't mind, I have some notes over here. But number one, there's no corporate or income tax there in Dubai, so it's really great opportunity for you to work over there. 100% ownership of your company. So you don't have to have a sponsor from there. You can own the company fully over there. Ease of doing business. It's ranked first in the region for ease of doing business by the World Bank. And strategic location. It's between Europe, Africa, and the Far East. Like I said again, Creative Zone. They tapped us because they were saying that we are well connected with the entrepreneurship and startup community over here. But more importantly, a lot of Filipinos, almost 1 million Filipinos living in Dubai, doing very well in Dubai, and they see the potential for bringing more Filipinos to contribute to the economy there in the UAE. Very quick to put up a business. You can register in a matter of minutes. Setting up the full business, just a couple of weeks. There are different options where you can actually get visas for you and your full family, and to actually work there as well. And like I said, it costs about between $1,300 to about $6,000 US dollars to set up business over there. Very conducive business environment, high-tech place, high-tech infrastructure, trade centers, and great tax incentives over there. So,
pero pwede nang pabaliktad din. Like say, for example, from, some businesses there, putting up
they also
here
want to come,
in the Philippines.
they talk to my Inter-PH business naman when they want to put up over here. So, Creative Zone, we talk to them when you want to go over there. And Inter-PH naman when businesses from the UAE want to come over here. And that's why we've got a nice complementary relationship because for us, is that if you're a Filipino business or startup that wants to expand your horizons, you can go over there because it's easy to start off. It's very, very easy to start off. And there naman sa Dubai, if there are businesses that want to take advantage of the cost savings here in the Philippines, because you have to realize why do people want to come to the Philippines to do business. Number one, we're easily trainable. We have many college graduates. Our English level skills is comparable to, it's pretty good, diba? But tong cost savings natin is mataas dito. That's why they come here kasi what they could do for, let's say, $1 is just 30 centavos over here. And yung cost savings nila to do business in the Philippines. Kaya maraming gustong pumasok dito to take advantage of that one. So, you know, the silver lining of this pandemic, especially for my business, yung Enter PH, is that maraming business na naging talunan rin sa States ngayon, di ba? Because of the pandemic. So, they're also trying to save on costs. So, they're looking for other places where they can set up their businesses. And the Philippines is one of those places where they can do that. The last time that the Philippines had an influx of BPOs into the country was 2008. Bakit? Kasi nag-US economic crisis, di ba? They were trying to save money. So they brought their businesses over here. And the same things happen if you look at the news also as well. The silver lining is that many of these businesses in the US who might have been losing money also because of the crisis. So the place, okay, all of a sudden they're looking around saying, what country can I put my business right now where it's affordable? Oh, look at the Philippines.
Pero are you also looking at other countries aside from Dubai?
To start to put up right now.
Yes.
Dubai and the other Gulf cooperation states, there are many places that you can do those businesses to creatives so they can help you in all those different areas. It really depends on the type of business that you have and type of business venture that you want to set up.
And sabi mo, kahit anong industry, pwede yun.
Yes, whatever industry, they're looking at it right now. And it's a nice international city. It's a nice over there. I'm sure you've been there. I'm sure you've been there. Been there a lot. I've been there. I've given talks on entrepreneurship. So many OFWs are contributing to the Philippine economy, and at the same time, so many Filipinos who want to go over there to expand their horizons and to, you know, greener pastures.
Yes, it's really a beautiful place. Yun. So I think we're lacking time now. What's next for the RJ Ledesma?
For me, I'm very excited right now. I just want to encourage everybody else over here. Una, if you want to listen to, I have a podcast right now, the RJ Ledesma podcast. It's on Facebook Live, pati Spotify, Google, Apple. I interview some really great entrepreneurs on the show. Please listen to the show if you want to get some great insights on entrepreneurship and business. Also, at the same time, if you are a food entrepreneur and you're looking to, you want to start off your business, get small muna. Join us in Mercato Central. You just go to our Facebook page. And more importantly, if you're thinking of bringing your business, scaling it abroad, bring it abroad, expanding it abroad, please get in touch with us. Go to my page, enterph.com or Creative Zone, and say, you want to bring your Philippine business to the UAE. We can help you out very, very easily. We want you to become the next big OFW entrepreneur or business owner.
That's RJ Ledesma, award-winning host and co-founder of Enter PH. Open for Business will be back. Stay with us.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka naming tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Isa rin ba kayo sa mga sumasakit ang ulo dahil sa mga maliliit na pasaway sa ating mga bahay? Mga kaagapay, pasintabi po sa mga kumakain. Dahil ang ating pag-aaralan ay kung papaano pupuksain ang mga peste sa ating tahanan.
Sinubukan ko pong kumatok sa mga establishment para makapagbigay ng serbisyo sa pest control.
Sa pest control industry, pwede ka rin kumita ng malaki.
Until now, yung mga naging clients namin ay hindi po maalis.
Sa 3RZ, no pest, no worry. Ako po, si Robin Padilla. At ito po ang unlad. Kagapay sa hanap buhay.
Bagong taon, bagong pag-asa para sa mga kabataang gustong makapag-aral. Tutugunan ng Responde. Delikadong tulay sa Naik, Cavite. Inaksyonan. At isang dog lover turned rescuer. Ating kilalanin. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, mata ng mamamayan.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I am Las Vegas correspondent Randy Bernardino, and here are the trending business news around the world. Quezon City is richest LGU in 2020. Quezon City regained the distinction as the country's wealthiest local government unit, or LGU, with total assets of more than 452 billion pesos in 2020. From only 96 billion in 2019, the latest Commission on Audit's 2020 Annual Financial Report on Local Government showed Quezon City's assets increased by 369%, or a whopping 355 billion pesos. This put Quezon City at the top of COA's richest LGUs list, overtaking Makati City. Mayor Joy Belmonte attributed this dramatic improvement to the city government's sustained efforts to properly record all of its properties. Among those inventoried and recorded by the city government were fixed assets like infrastructure, buildings, roads, and other properties. Tesla deactivates video games in moving cars. Electric automaker Tesla updated its vehicle software to prevent drivers from playing video games on the console while the car is in motion, U.S. traffic safety regulators said in a statement. Following the opening of a preliminary evaluation of Tesla's passenger play, Tesla informed the agency that it is changing the functionality of this feature, a spokesperson for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said. In a new software update, passenger play will now be locked and unusable when the vehicle is in motion. The agency had announced it had launched an investigation into some 580,000 Tesla cars after the automaker's decision to allow drivers to play on the entertainment system's touchscreen while the vehicle was moving. The affected models are the Model 3, S, X, and Y. Weather disasters cost $20 billion more in 2021. The 10 most expensive weather disasters in 2021 caused more than $170 billion in damage, 20 billion more than in 2020, a British aid group said. Each year, the UK charity Christian Aid calculates the cost of weather incidents like flooding, fires, and heat waves according to insurance claims and reports the results. In 2020, it found the world's 10 costliest weather disasters caused $150 billion in damage, making this year's total an increase of 13%. Christian Aid said the upward trend reflects the effects of man-made climate change and added that the disasters in question also killed at least 1,075 people and displaced 1.3 million. And now on to our Tech Buzz, where we find out the latest trends in technology. Today we learn, what is FinTech? Financial technology, or FinTech, is used to describe new tech that seeks to improve and automate the delivery and use of financial services. At its core, FinTech is utilized to help companies, business owners and consumers better manage their financial operations, processes, and lives by utilizing specialized software and algorithms that are used on computers and increasingly smartphones. Now for today's job hunting tip. Every week, we will provide you with tips for first-time job seekers, for those wanting to advance in their careers, or even those wanting to start fresh and change professions. Today's tip: prepare for interviews. Research common interview questions, create responses for them, and practice those responses before you get invited to an interview. Ask a friend or a professional contact to do a practice interview with you. If you are well prepared, you will be more confident and comfortable when you go into your next interview. That's today's job hunting tip. Now on to Millennial News with correspondent Jasmine Agustin.
Everyone wants the corner office with the best view, but not everyone possesses the same abilities to get there. The CEO's position is both challenging and crucial. While each firm is different, CEOs are frequently in charge of growing the business, increasing profitability, and in the case of public corporations, increasing share prices. CEOs are in charge of a company's overall operations. And as we millennials and Gen Zs are hustling in life, we dream of becoming one of them someday. Okay, prospective CEOs, here are some abilities you should learn in order to become a successful CEO. First is accountability. A true leader accepts responsibility for the challenges he inherited rather than passing the blame. Anyone who wants to become more accountable must be committed to their goals. If your leaders aren't holding themselves accountable, the first step is to figure out why. Second is controlled emotion. Many leaders learn to handle external expressions of emotion but have no idea how to cope with deep-seated feelings like uncertainty or how they feel about power and authority when it comes to self-management. And as future CEOs, you are encouraged to examine yourself in order to identify and correct flaws, ensuring that your emotions are streamlined to the company's profit. Finally, the willingness to change. CEOs go through performance makeovers on a regular basis in order to stay on top. These leaders appear to have managed to catch lightning in a bottle. They will go to great lengths for causes they believe in, and a compelling transformation narrative will inspire and strengthen their dedication. They make quick money to fuel their journey and communicate their tale in the marketplace. CEOs are prone to become overwhelmed, which is understandable given the scope of their responsibilities. Exemplary CEOs balance the reality of what they need to do in their jobs with who they are as people. We hope that future all CEOs may benefit from these skills to better allocate their limited time and energy. I am Jasmine Agustin for Open for Business.
Hindi ako makakatulog pag di ko nalaman kung ano yung chika! May isang aktor, tapos... Sulap!
Ang inyong pinakabagong gag show.
Dito sa Net25!
Walang iba kundi ang...
This week, meron akong makakasama dito sa aking kusina. Ako'y napaka-honor. Honor ko po to. Nag-iisa lang po, Mr. Romel Padilla. Paul! Welcome, welcome. Kailangan, paligayahin mo ko at sabihin mo masarap yung niluto ko.
Huwag mo akong hinahamon ng mga ganyang mental.
Ano?
Ang init.
Baka ngayong gabi, merong kumuha nitong 100,000 kasi 100,000 is 100,000 pesos. Papasukin na natin ang mga masisipag na online sellers ng mga damit. Ano ang tawag sa phobia sa magagandang babae? John Ray, ikaw ba may phobia ka ba sa magagandang babae?
Wala po.
Wala.
Wow!
Tina, sino ang pipili mong sasagot ng tanong na yan?
Si John Ray.
Kayo mo ipapasa yung tanong na yan?
Kay Jan po.
Kanino mo ipapasa yung tanong?
Siyempre kay John Ray.
Kay John Ray na naman. John, ikaw pinag-iinitan ng mga babae. Makuha mo na ito tama. Iyan mo, meron kong points dito. At ito ang Tara Game!
And our term of the week is from Investopedia, outsourcing. It is the business practice of hiring a party outside a company to perform services or create goods that were traditionally performed in-house by the company's own employees and staff. Outsourcing is a practice usually undertaken by companies as a cost-cutting measure. As such, it can affect a wide range of jobs ranging from customer support to manufacturing to the back office. Startups wanting to expand to the global stage must understand the risks involved. It is not an easy process with many hoops and hurdles that entrepreneurs need to jump through. But with proper planning and execution, the potential gains can be limitless with many Philippine startups ready for the challenge. With that, our quote of the week is from the author of Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith. He said, "Consumption is the sole end and purpose of all production, and the interest of the producer ought to be attended to only so far as it may necessary for promoting that of the consumer." Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Thank you to our guest, Mr. RJ Ledesma, and our correspondents, Randy Bernardino and Jasmine Agustin. Samahan ninyo kaming muli sa Open for Business sa susunod na linggo. Learn more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines, keeping you informed and open for business. Be ahead of the curve from vision to action. Panoorin din ninyo ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos. We live in interesting times.
This program is supported by Red Juice. Mas masarap ang pakiramdam kapag malinis ang kalooban.